sorry it's been a long time. Life's been busy. A lot of stuff has happened. Things are changing. I might do a video about that another time, not pertaining to what I'm going to talk about today, though. Today, though, sorry, my cat is like trying to get up on here. So one topic I want to talk about, though, today was flight attendant interviews. I just got back. Today's what? Saturday? I got back on Thursday from an interview in Portland for Skywest Airlines. And Skywest Airlines, if you don't know who they are, is a regional carrier. They do a lot of like the smaller planes and routes for Delta, United, Alaska, and American Airlines. So before I went to my interview, I was looking all over YouTube and I found some really cool videos about the interview, and I figured why not do one myself. Hopefully the information that I found in those videos was so helpful, and so I'm hoping that I can kind of bring a little bit more information to YouTube, I guess, and make it more accessible for somebody else who wants to go through the whole process as well. So first thing is with the Skywest interview is I found out about it I looked up flight attendant jobs, and a flight attendant careers, I think it's .com, not sponsored, but was the one who I found it through, and they have a really great list, and that's what I use, of highlighted airlines that are hiring employees. And so I use that. I check daily to see what's going on, and I saw that Skywest was hiring, and so what I did, and the thing you need to do is this: go to their website, which is skywest.com, click on their careers page, you'll find flight attendants. On there, you will find some information about requirements for being a flight attendant. They'll talk about interviews, when they are. Skywest does theirs a little bit different than most other airlines, and I'll explain that later. Talks about pay scale, talks about, also has the location of all their domiciles or their bases for crew, and is a very good information page. So first thing, though, that you need to do is you need to apply. Application took me all of 20 minutes to do. Very, very simple and easy. Upload your resume, answer like 20 basic simple questions, submit it off. That's it. One thing that's different about Skywest Airlines in comparison to other airlines: most airlines, when you submit an application, you have to wait for them to either send you an email saying, hey, we'd like to do a phone interview, a video interview with you. Skywest does not do that. You submit an application, you can come to any open interview you possibly want, which is pro and a big con. Here's why. Pro, you automatically are guaranteed yourself an interview. Phenomenal. Great. Love it. Con, my interview started at 6 p.m. I live in Seattle. Seattle's about 3-ish hours drive from Portland. I drove down to Portland in the morning, spent the day in Portland, went to the interview, and because it is an open interview, and they tell you in the application itself as well, your interview can last up to 6 hours. Keep that in mind. So, backtracking though. Make sure when you are filling out your application, you really read the requirements of being a flight attendant. Don't skim over it. Don't think you know what the questions are. Read it. Because there are things in there that might be slightly hidden wording that you think is fine. In reality, it isn't. So, biggest, I can't say biggest again, thing, tattoos. Skywest is one of, and based on things that I've read and heard from friends of mine, Skywest is one of the strictest companies in the U.S. in terms of tattoo visibility. Some airlines will let you say if you have a tattoo on your wrist, as long as your watch can cover it, you're good to go. Skywest Airlines will not permit that. They're very, very strict about that. Tattoos are not visible at any time. They clearly say on the application, you cannot have any behind your ears, on your face, your neck, chest, hands, or feet. You can have them on parts of your body. However, the biggest requirement is, and I'm going to put a shirt on so this doesn't look weird, I'm so sorry, but when you, the test is that when you are closing an overhead bin and you're, going to lean way back, reaching up, it cannot be visible here. So if my shirt falls like this, I cannot have a tattoo from here to here. Something to think about. We had about 50, so thankfully for my interview, we only had about 55 people attend, which was great. Sometimes bigger interviews, you can have up to like 300 to 400. Imagine how long your night's going to be. We had about 15 people. So in the beginning, sorry, I keep jumping around. Let's rewind. Biggest thing to do when you get for your interview, mine started at 6. I showed up at 3:45. The reason being is that doors open an hour beforehand and they close exactly at 6. Show up at 6:01, you will not get into the interview. The reason to show up early is because you can queue in front of the check-in door. The biggest thing to do is the sooner you check in for the interview, when they open the doors at 5, so that means you're waiting in line, the quicker, if you get to individual interviews, you will be interviewed first. So if you show up at 5:45 for check-in, and they start checking at 5, right? But all those people in front of you, and you get in line and say you're 300 in line, anybody who's still remaining after group interviews, you have that many people in front of you before they individual interview. So big thing. For me, I had heard about that, so I was like, I want to be one of the first, because if I get to individual interviews, I want to interview and I want to get out of there because I want to drive back to Seattle that night because I had to work the next morning. And I was not about to leave Portland at about midnight or 1 in the morning, get back about 3 or 4, be at work by 9. No. Biggest thing. Biggest thing. Get there early. You will also have other people that are also there early. It's great. You get to meet people and kind of talk about, what you've been doing, where you're from, and it's a great experience. Doors open at 5 o'clock. Went in. They did check our resumes, signed us in, asked us if we applied before, we worked for the airline before, interviewed with them before. No. Great. Second thing that they do is they height check you with your shoes off. It is a very big requirement because of their aircraft type. You cannot exceed a specific height. And I want to say it was 6 feet even. I want to say. It's on their website though. And you have to be a minimum of 5 feet tall. If you are 6 feet and a quarter inches, you are automatically out. So something to think about. Make sure you know your height before you go. I am 5'10", 5'11". I knew I was within the requirements. I stood up against the wall. They're like, great, you're good to go. Kept going. The biggest thing is, and Skywest was not as much, is that make sure you're really mingling with people though, seeing how you interact with other people. It's very important for flight attendants because they want to see how in an environment of people you do not know, how you're going to interact. Are you going to sit on your phone and sit in the corner by yourself and not talk to anyone? Or are you going to be the bubbly person and introducing yourself and meeting other people? So that is very, very, very important to do that. After the doors closed at 6 o'clock promptly, they did a 20-minute info session. Pretty much covered what is in the online requirements and information on their website. So it was pretty much a reiteration. And they also told us when it was that our training class would be if we were given CJO, not G, CJO, which is conditional job offer. So that was the only piece of information that's not on the website that we found out at training. After the 20-minute info session, they give you a break. They tell you, though, in that, before the session ends, if you do not think that the job is right for you, if you have a tattoo that you think will not work, things like that, if you have second thoughts, that is your time to go. If you continue to the next part of the interview process, which is where it officially begins, you are dismissed. You have to wait 90 days to reapply. So big thing. With tattoos as well, getting back to that, like I said, we had about 15 people that were sent home because of it. Skywest Airlines will tell you before the questionnaire ends, if you have questionable tattoos, show them to us. They will send them off to the training and recruiting heads, and they get to decide how things go. I literally saw people that had about this much of a tattoo showing, and they told them no, just go home, and it's not even worth it. Big gauges, and he had big lobes that were hanging out as a result. They said, nope, not doing it. So that was a very, very big thing. I showed them I have a tattoo. I showed them mine. The biggest thing is transparency. They tell you on day 1 of training, they will inspect every part of your body. And if you have a tattoo that you did not disclose to them and it is not in compliance, you are automatically sent home on day 1. And the day that I had an interview, they did have a training class start, and they did send people home because the tattoos were being concealed and hidden and were not revealed during the application phase. Went through the entire process, got to training in Salt Lake City, lasted about 25 minutes, and were sent back home. So Also, things with tattoos, they tell you if you have a tattoo, for instance, if I have a tattoo on my wrist and I was having it removed because I wanted to be a flight attendant, Skywest will not interview you if you are in the tattoo removal phase. They tell you in the interview, go home, get it removed, reapply, and come back. So things to think about. Hands, a small dot, they will not approve. There was somebody in our training class, she had a small one, literally so small right here, and she was hoping she could get away with it. The airline saw her right away and sent her home. So 20 minutes later, after that, it would be group interviews. Our group was really great because, like I said, we had about 50 people, about 20-ish, 15, 20 people left, and they decided, you know what, we're not even going to do group interviews, we're just going to do one-on-ones. Fantastic. I immediately went from step 1 to step 3. So I don't know what the group interview questions were about, couldn't tell you at all. One-on-ones, this is where it became super important that I was first in line. I was the 12th person to check in out of 56. Individual interviews last 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the questions that they ask you, how you answer them. I had 3 recruiters at mine, so think, 3 people, 20 minutes each. After the break, though, and after group interviews, technically, they give you about 40 minutes to fill out some paperwork while they prep for individual interviews and talk about it. So already you're waiting 40 minutes past what the group interviews would have been, which is probably about another hour and a half of group interviews, and then another 40 minutes to process and prep for one-on-ones, and then one-on-ones start. So already that's like a 2.5-hour period of window of almost doing nothing. So after that, I did my one-on-one interview. It's very, very basic, super easy questions. As well, I was anticipating a lot more questions than I was asked in more detail like I have with other interviews and airlines. Was not the case. 2 biggest things, though, I always talk about safety and customer service. 2 big points you want to talk about and try to incorporate into your answers. That is what they are looking for. How can you be safe and ensure the safety of customers? And 2, how do you provide excellent customer service to customers while on board the plane? 2 big things. After that, they tell you, do not talk to anybody in the group where everyone else is sitting. Do not talk to them. You need to leave the building and not have any conversation about what the interview was like, what questions were asked, things like that. Through the interview, I did notice with my recruiter, based on what I can tell, they have sections of questions, and they can ask you either, like, sometimes they have 2 or 3 questions. They can ask you one of them, they can ask you all 3. Depends on how they want to know you. They are very big on resumes. They want to know if you had a gap. Why did you have a gap? If you left your job after 6 months, why did you leave your job? They want to see consistency. Flight attendants is a career. It is not, and a lifestyle. It is not just a job. They do not want somebody that's going to come into it, do it for 6 months, and bounce. They want somebody who wants to do it because they love what they do and they want to do it long term. So I had a gap in my high school from when I graduated high school to when I started my new job. I got asked very detailed question as to, okay, why did you have such a gap? And then I was with my previous job at Starbucks for 2-ish years, decided to then switch careers, and was brought on board by a friend of mine to a completely new career. And they wanted to know every little detail as to why I left Starbucks, what was my reasoning, was I not treated well, whatever, and why I decided to go with a new career. And as a result, why am I wanting to leave my career that I have grown and developed for 3 years now, and very successful at? Why all of a sudden am I wanting to leave that? And so you just need to know, make sure that you have very good answers to your questions, that they understand that you are not a bouncer in your job. It is because you're doing something you're passionate about, you wanted to do, you're developing your career in some way that changing your jobs advance that. If you just say, I don't know, I just, tried something new, they will not like that answer. So one-on-one interviews ended and I left. Biggest other con to Skywest interviews that I personally dislike because I do not like to wait. Some airlines, I don't want to say most, some airlines I do know of will, at the end of one-on-ones, they'll group together, you still wait. They'll either at the end of one-on-ones say, okay, you can wait, or okay, go home, or okay, wait. Then after one-on-ones, they post a list of who has made it on, continuous on. Either they'll do some one-on-ones, or they will give you CJO, which is a conditional job offer. Skywest will not do that, which is frustrating. So when you leave your interview, you do not know if you were given a conditional job offer to work for the airline or not. They tell you within 3 weeks of your interview date, you will get an email from us. It'll tell you either, yes, you got the job, congratulations, this is your class date, or no, you did not get the job, sorry, we will not tell you why. And they tell you that too in the interview. We do not divulge any information as to why you were not selected, just you were not selected, try again in 90 days. So I am currently on day 3. waiting to hear back from them. Fingers, toes, hair, everything crossed that I get the job. So that's that. With training as well, training is 31 consecutive days with 2 random days off in the course period, which is also different from other airlines. Some airlines I know will do like Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, you get 1 day off. They will give you 2 days off in 31 days. They provide housing for you, transportation to and from the training facility, and that is it, as well as also transportation from one of their domiciles to the location in Salt Lake City for training. Thankfully, Skywest has a domicile here in Seattle, so for me it's very convenient. I told them I can get on a plane from Seattle to Salt Lake, and they will pay for my flight. If for some reason you lived in a smaller town, you lived in a city that is not a base for Skywest Airlines, they will not fly you to Salt Lake City. It will be your responsibility to either pay for your entire fare to Salt Lake or pay for your fare to fly to one of their domiciles, and from the domicile, they will fly you from there to Salt Lake City. So that one is a little bit harder, especially, fingers crossed for you, you don't get failed test or you don't get sent home early, because if you do, they will send you on a plane back to one of the domiciles, and from there, if you live in a small town, you're now trying to find a fare that same day to do, because they will send you home that afternoon. You will not stick around to the end of the day. So those are kind of, the interview was very, very well. I met a lot of people from all around Washington, Oregon. We had somebody from Iowa that was in Portland as well that showed up randomly. It is a super great experience to go through. It is a little nerve-wracking. There was a lot of sitting. I was there for about 4 hours, even with only 30 of us remaining. So think if you have like 300, granted I'll have more recruiters, but still, it's a large number. But hopefully that helps answer some questions about the Skywest interview. It's very, very easy. It is very different than other airlines that I've experienced and been heard of with the interview process and the way that they do things. But again, biggest thing to take away, tattoos, no. Have your tattoos hidden. Like my tattoo is on my forearm. It is very, very far up. When I did show them, they already made a comment. They said, if you do get conditional job offer and you do finish, they said you will never be able to wear short sleeves. I said, fine by me. I'm always cold anyway. Not a problem. If you are a hot person that stays warm and you will be wanting to wear short sleeves on the aircraft and you have a tattoo on your forearm, they will not permit it. Makeup, bandages, skin looking wraps, things not permitted at all at any time in the company. So that will be a personal thought. If you have one, like for instance mine is here and I wanted to wear short sleeves, my ultimatum would be either have it removed or I have to accept the fact of wearing long sleeves every single day to work. For me, long sleeves every day to work works for me. Second is read the requirements on skywestairlines.com. It talks about pay scale. It literally breaks it down as to what your base will be. So many people do not understand how pay scale works with airlines, what they're going to pay you, how much you're going to make. So please read that because it gives a very good explanation there. And then, of course, dress professionally. I wore a button-up with a bow tie and a full-on suit. There were people that showed up in almost yoga pants and flip-flops. They were sent home. So it is a full job that you are applying for, so you want to make a good impression, especially because in the airline industry, you are wearing, as for instance for guys, we are wearing ties, vests, button-ups, or suit jackets every day to work. Females, they really like seeing heels, you wearing kind of stockings or something as well, because you do have to wear those on the aircraft. Free legs are not usually allowed, if I remember right. And then, of course, dresses, no more than 2 inches above the knee. If they do see that, it's showing a little bit too much. And do not do anything that is shoulderless. Make sure you have some kind of shoulder onto it. It is kept modest, not too low either. You want to make sure it is kept modest as well. The airlines are looking at you when you are walking around saying, can we see them in one of our uniform pieces? If you are in something that is clearly not going to be professional and does not semi-resemble something that they can imagine you in it, that already is giving you a disadvantage. So dress to impress. Even if you think it is too much, it is going to be the right amount. So that is the interview process. A couple questions that were asked in the interview that made some good points is when you finish training, you will then go to, it's called IOE, which is your in-flight final training, so the last phase. And from there, you will be training on an actual plane, and you will be working a trip with a trainer and working as an actual flight attendant. If you pass your in-flight experience there, you will be then a legit flight attendant and fully signed off with the company. IOE will start pretty much right after you finish initial training. It is based on two things. It's based on operational demand. It's also seniority level. Seniority level in Skywest Airlines is based on the last 4 digits of your social security number, and your hire date is the first date of class. So unfortunately for me, my social security number is very low. So I am very low on the totem pole already. I already have it in my mind. It's accepted. It's just there. Between times, though, of your in-flight training and IOE, you will not be getting paid. So that is up to you. You do get paid 65 flying credits during your month of training, which comes out to, I believe they said it was $1,100. That is it. Food, all that is on your own. They will pay for the hotel and shuttle. That is all. With being a flight attendant, you are then put on reserve. It's based on the demands of the company. One question is you are illegal is what it is called. After 120 hours with Skywest Airlines, you are guaranteed 76 hours a month. That is if you work a 2-hour flight. That is if you work 76 hours of flying. You will be paid 76 hours of flying for the month. On your which comes out to about 2 weeks a month. On the remainder of the month, as long as it does not put you illegal before your reserve trips or trips that you actually have, you can pick up trips through the online portal. You just cannot exceed the 120 hours of flying, and you also have to ensure you have minimum crew rest between the end of your trip you picked up and the beginning of your new scheduled actual trip that you're done. That was a very big question that was asked. The other question that was asked, which I was a little surprised with because I did not think it was this way, is bases. So Skywest has 20 bases in the United States. Most of them are in the West Coast. The Midwest consists of like Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, Minneapolis, Houston. They just opened up New York, LaGuardia. And I think that's it. I was personally under the impression that what is called junior bases for new flight attendants were the smaller cities like Palm Springs, Fresno, Boise. I know Boise, they don't have any routes out of there. But little do I know, we asked the recruiter, and she said most of the junior classes have been sent to the Midwest. So that means you're going to Minneapolis, Chicago, or Detroit. Something completely I was not anticipating. Positive, though, with that is that there is a very big Delta United American hub out of Detroit and Minneapolis, it's Delta. And then, of course, out of Chicago, it's American and United. But I personally know that they have a lot of long hauls that they do out of those routes, as well as a lot of short hauls. But there is a lot of routes that come out of those cities, so it will give you a very good idea of I'm hopeful that you'll get more hours of flying. In turn, if you're going to, like, say, Boise, they're not doing as many routes out of there, so it's very much more limited to get a trip out and then hit like another bigger base and then fly from there. Their website does have a route map, all of their routes. It was very interesting to see. Gives you a sense of kind of where things are and where in the country you would be flying if you were a flight attendant. I feel like I'm on a big tangent. I'm super sorry. 23 minutes already. Holy cow. Okay. But if you have any questions about the flight attendant interview that I can try to answer, I'm not going to give out the questions to the interviews. I'm not going to. Super sorry. You can ask me all day long. I will not answer those. General gist of everything, though, was safety, customer service. That's what I can tell you for that. But if you have any questions, comment below. Definitely would be happy to answer them. If things progress, I will definitely keep you guys updated, add more videos to try to provide more information as to what's going on at the best I possibly can to reveal as well with them. And I will talk with you guys soon, and hopefully, I promise I will try not to make it like a 6-month hiatus before I post anything. But it was nice talking to you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye!